Hello, welcome to the fourth house with me, Mamita. And in this video, I wanted to talk about aspects because a lot of people have a lot of questions about aspects and they can be sort of confusing. Astrology is complex because it is a lot of layers and layers, and we're talking often about life, which is complex. We're talking about personalities, which are very complex. We're talking about relationships that are very complex. They're not straightforward. It's not just one thing. There tends to be a lot of things that motivate people, and there tend to be dealing with conflicts, and other times people just have a very easy flow of energy and things can really move forward easily in their life. And so when we're talking about astrology, we talk a lot with aspects. So in this video, I really wanted to give my personal theory on what a chart is and how you can look at it in a certain metaphor, if you will, to kind of get a different way to understand it. Because when we're just looking at a chart, it's just a circle with a bunch of lines and some notes here and there about what sign is and what planet is, or some symbols, and it can be very confusing for a lot of beginners. So this is my personal theory on how you can look at a chart and understand it in a different way. So when I think about the chart, we're seeing a circle, right? I see every sign, every zodiac sign as its own color. So bing, 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 they all have their own color. And maybe that house, if we're just going with Aries being the first house, a traditional chart, then that house will share that color as well. And I have my notes here, so if you see me looking, because this is kind of complex, so I did want to make sure I'm outlining this correctly. So signs and houses have a color, right? Then you can kind of think of also the house as well, not only having a color associated with that sign, but also being its own separate play or movie scene. So when you walk into the fourth house, say, you're walking into a scene that will be about family, and you'll smell food cooking, and your mom will walk through the room, and the home will be comfy. It'll be that type of vibe. If you're walking into a scene about the 10th house, somebody hands you a pen and paper, and they say get to work, and it's about ambition and strive, and you're at work, and it's your sole purpose, and you're leading to something. You're working on your craft in a way. If you go into the 8th house, you're walking into the world of the underworld, or your Scorpio, where there's taboo, and maybe it's darker, or maybe maybe there's darker things going on in certain rooms, or maybe it's delving deep into this psychology, and you meet a psychiatrist. That's kind of how I think of these houses as different plays or movie scenes going on in each one of them. Then the next thing, you can see each planet being a texture for that color. And I often think of phone, like camera, like filters for your pictures that you take, with an app. You can kind of think of the planets like that, as they give a filter or a texture to that color to go through. So you'll have, say, green in the 7th house with Libra. But say you have Uranus there, well, maybe that texture from Uranus is going to be a very spiky texture, or maybe it's more like a GIF, so it'll give near lightning striking around that green, beautiful green color. It won't just be green anymore. It'll have this layer on top of that green. So that's how we can kind of see the planets as filters for what ultimately is going to be the aspects running through that. And the aspects are the lights or roadmaps, channels for this light to filter through the planet into the house, through this sign as well. So we're going to get a lot of layers here if we think about it that way. So let's try an example with Venus in the first house, so Venus will have a very soft, loving texture, you could say. I think of maybe that glow that's on some of the textures for your pictures, where it kind of like makes you very glowy, and it's called romantic. That's usually the name of the texture. So you can say, okay, we're going to give romantic texture to the first house of someone. So that person is going to be very glowy, romantic, because they have Venus coming through in that house. But now it's making an aspect from, say, the 5th house. And from the 5th house, we have, I don't know, let's say Jupiter coming in there. So Jupiter in the 5th house. So we have 5th house being a play about your creativity, and maybe it's Leo and you meet like a lion, kind of like in that book, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Is that what it's called? You kind of meet Asgard, whatever his name is, and he's part of the play. So okay, so that story is now being connected through a light that is shooting from Jupiter to your planet in the first house, Venus. So you're getting, and say it's, this light is shooting through, so you're going to be getting this very beautiful energy from the 5th house, which is about play and creativity and romance and fun. You're going to get all that vivacious nature into that Venus now that's sitting in the first house. And not only will that Venus have the energy of the first house, but it will have the energy of the 5th house running through it as well, filtered through the planet Jupiter. So I hope this makes sense. I know it's a really complex idea, and then we know sometimes we have more than one aspect. Oftentimes, at least in my chart, we have more than one aspect shooting at a planet, or planets even conjunct, and conjunct planets will definitely take on each other's color and flavor and textures. They will definitely be fused together in that. So let me know in the comment section below if this was helpful, and if you have any aspects that you're kind of confused about. I'd be happy to give them my interpretation. Thanks so much for watching, liking, and following here at the 4th house with me, Mamita. I will see you guys next time.